Hello all and welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew and this is Life Hacks. What is money actually for and why do we have it? To explain money, let's look at the origins of money through a story. I promise it's a good story, so make sure to stick around. For our story, let's go back, all the way back. Let's start with one person and put this person on an island. Let's call this person Alex. Alex needs to find a way to survive on this island. First on his list of things to do, he decides to build a shelter so that he doesn't get eaten, and so he has some protection against the weather. As a result of his building, he gets thirsty and needs to find some water. Alex searches for water and finally finds a fresh water stream that's about 2 miles away. Alex cleverly constructs a small bucket where he can carry the water from the stream to his shelter. Finally, Alex gets hungry and decides to find some food. Alex is able to find food by picking fruits off the trees and hunting the local wildlife. Alex now has everything he needs to survive long term. However, nearly all of his hours of his days are spent repairing his shelter, walking 4 miles round trip to fetch water, hunting for food, and resting. Now, let's add a second person to the island, and let's call this person Charlie. Charlie also needs to survive, and luckily for Charlie, Alex is able to help show where the water stream is, where to hunt for food, and this makes Charlie's life easier. As Charlie begins building a shelter, she realizes that she really enjoys building and repairing shelters. Charlie then proposes a trade to Alex. If Charlie would spend her time building and repairing each other's shelters, then Alex would be responsible for going out getting the food and water for both of them. Alex thinks it's a fair trade, so they do it. Now since they've traded, they actually spend less time and effort each day on surviving, which leaves them both more time for leisure and extracurricular activities. As you can see, Charlie and Alex can live a perfectly good life and there is no need for money. Now, let's bring more people to the island. Each person initially has to focus on survival. But fortunately, Alex and Charlie help each person, making it easier for them. Now we have a diverse set of people with varying interests and skills. Perhaps one person enjoys making clothes for the people on the island to protect them during the winter months. Because of this, everyone now wants clothing. So the clothes maker tells every person on the island that they will make clothes once per week, and they will invite everyone over to their house to give clothes away as long as they had something to trade for it. The clothes maker just established a store. The clothes maker will accept 2 kinds of trades, a good or a service. Perhaps the clothes maker makes a trade in return for a haircut. This would be an example of a service. The clothes maker may also make a trade for food. Food would be considered a good. Now here is where money comes to play. Say the clothes maker was really hungry and wanted some food. Yet the clothes maker doesn't presently have any clothes to trade for. If the clothes maker is not good at finding their own food, then they will have to trade with the food gatherer with an IOU. The clothes maker has to promise that when they have clothes that they will give it to the food gatherer at a later time. There are 2 problems with IOUs. First, there is no guarantee that the food gatherer will ever get their clothes. Second, it can be difficult tracking IOUs if you have them from multiple people. As you can see, trading is most effective if there are no IOUs, and trading happens real time. Money allows a trade to happen in real time, even if you don't actively have a good or service to offer. Jumping to present time, here's an example. I would be willing to bet that most people watching this video trade a service for money. The service that you trade is your time and effort in exchange for money in the form of what we call a job. Once you've accumulated money, you can use that money to trade for a good or service that you want, like a brand new TV or a haircut. You are constantly making trades involving money, and the power of money is that you can use it to trade for anything you want, provided you have enough of it. The final thing worth mentioning is defining what one unit of currency is. In the United States, it's called a dollar. So what is $1? $1 is defined as whatever you can trade for that $1. Perhaps $1 can buy you one apple. Then the definition of $1 is one apple. Now say either we have an increase in supply of apples or we have a decrease in demand for apples. You can now trade $1 for two apples. When this occurs, the definition of $1 has now changed. The definition of $1 is two apples now. We call this the value of $1.